the stupidest thing about this, a lot of the time when I compare myself to other people and I get knocked down by it, it's people who are doing things that I want no goddamn part of.
That is so true. Why do we do that?
It's 100% accurate. That's your statement of the podcast century. That's the best thing that you've said since this podcast has aired. We need to set that in stone. That's so remarkably observant.
Isn't that the silliest thing?
This is the online trainer show. Trainer show. Trainer show. This is the online trainer show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
Nice new house with that new wall.
New wall, new background.
Is that a teal?
Yes, it's like a teal with like peacocks or some shit. I don't know.
Well, teal and peacocks go hand in hand.
Hand in hand. Absolutely.
Just like peanut butter and salmon. Jonathan's just chewing his post-workout meal. He's chosen not to engage at this time yet.
No, I didn't have time to eat yet, because we're in the final week of this phase 2, and so volume ramped up. So my workouts, of course, take longer. So
that's right.
I misestimated my time and just finished. I wanted to get in. There's like, with the program that I'm doing, there's alactic cardio, like anaerobic cardio. That's optional.
Yes.
At the end of one of the days, and I like to get it in because I just think it's really important to do. Because as I've already stated many times, I want to be able to beat Calvin at sports for a very long time. And
life goals.
And so it just takes a while. So I don't really have. I got half an hour after the podcast, so I'm going to make sure that I cut off right on, so I can eat my lunch. But
you deserve lunch, Jonathan.
Thank you, Ronald.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I heard that on a podcast that I was listening to. I don't remember which episode it was, and I didn't remember that you said it, or I missed it during the podcast, which is the joy of listening to the podcast for me.
I forget about a lot of the stupid little things. Yeah.
I forget about a lot of this shit we say. Like, we say a lot of stuff.
I will tell you guys, though, we are far more popular than we set out to be originally.
Right.
Oh, gosh.
If I knew that there were going to be so many people listening to this podcast, I probably wouldn't have done it. I mean, I just think that the secret sauce is like 5 listeners. You know what I'm saying? Like right. One more than us. Like all 4 of us are going to listen to it. Like one more than that, I feel like is.
And then that's it.
With.
Yeah.
But the amount of people who have, because I've told you guys, everybody follows me on Instagram. I send a message and just say, thank you. How'd you hear about me? The amount of people who've been like, yeah, I've been listening to your podcast. I'm really loving it.
Right.
It's like, wow, really?
Yeah.
Why?
I get it all the time. I get it all the time.
It happens. It's happening.
Any reference that I get in on Instagram or anything like that, the person will invariably say, "Oh man, the podcast is so good." And what's Claudia?
Oh yeah, she loves
Claudia.
it.
Yeah, she loves it. I met her at the what was Strong Summit.
You would have met her at our event. You was back at the convention center. Yeah.
Super nice. I'm somewhat of an extroverted introvert, so I don't regularly. I've learned to use behaviors to circumvent my personality type. Is that better put?
It's not. That's like saying that you fake confidence. It's like you can't. If you fake confidence, you are by definition confident.
Well,
you have figured out a way to be confident. It's like if you figured out how to be extroverted, then you were never actually introverted, or you are most introverts are extroverted in very small ways. I mean, that's what I am. It's like you start the day with 5 coins. In every interaction you have, you lose a coin. It's like for those 5 coins, you're extroverted. But then once they're gone, you're finished.
First of all, you don't know my life. Second, I don't like you disclosing my pay for the online trainer show on the air by letting everybody know that I get 5 coins every time I do an episode. It's tacky and it's unprofessional, and I won't have it again. Now I've said all I'm going to say about that, Jonathan.
They gave you a raise? Oh man.
Yeah, I went from 4 3/4 coins till he added the broken piece of the last coin and super glued it back to it. Said you get 5 coins now, Rand.
I'm still on 4, so there you
Carolina,
go.
you'll be on 4 for a while. There have been a lot of. There have been. I mean, no, we're not going to talk about unequal pay. We're definitely not going to breach that. You could have 5 coins. You'll be even.
Oh my God.
Equal opportunity. The amount of people who have messaged me in the last month or two and told me I should give Amber a raise is actually kind of
my God, we tell you that too. Like, seriously, like
that's all anybody ever says about Amber. I'm telling you,
whatever you're paying her, you should pay her more. I'm like, yeah.
I never miss an opportunity to shout out Amber because people just don't and you know, maybe they do. I don't know how much the OTA students realize. I mean, they see her name everywhere, I'm sure, just like I do. But once you get behind the curtain, once you get behind the Wizard of Oz that is Jonathan Goodman in the PTDC, and you see who's working the handles and the puppetry for the Oz statue out front, there's a little blonde lady sitting in the seat. Let me tell you guys
I legitimately just decided this morning that I was just going to go and read a book. that's the extent to what I do in my business anymore.
Right.
I just walked out of the office where everybody was working very hard. And then I picked up my book, which I brought because I figured I'd read my book today, and sat in the comfortable chair in the front with a coffee until it was time for my workout, at which point I went and did my workout, and now I'm here.
Tough life, man. Tough
So
life.
Amber, thanks for your work, and
we appreciate you.
we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you about at year end.
Yeah, that's right.
You'll get your adjustment for inflation.
Yeah, we'll catch you fourth quarter when fourth quarter ends.
I think actually this year the adjustment for inflation will be very small though.
Right. You've already hit it. Your extra pay this week will be you get to sit in on a podcast. You're welcome.
Yeah, right. Professional development.
Yeah. So I saw Jonathan Goodman's keyboard once to his laptop, and every button just said @AmberReynolds. I didn't understand it at the time, but now I understand. There's no button that he can push that doesn't say @AmberReynolds on his keyboard.
It's like those kids who play like World of Warcraft that like recode their keyboards and they're typing I just recoded every button to tag Amber.
Every button is just a tag for Amber Reynolds. Just brilliant. And that's and he talked a little bit about that on the podcast where we discussed systems and outsourcing.
Find an Amber is what the system is.
Right. That's your step one, find an Amber Reynolds.
Who's your Amber? Yeah.
Here are the advertisements.
Right.
I will say though, this morning's episode was the first one with the new shortened ads.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was really good. I actually, when we originally recorded the episode that went live this morning was about branding versus marketing. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a terrible episode after we finished recording it, but I listened to it this morning and it was actually pretty good. But
it aged well.
Yeah, it aged well. But the difference with the ads makes it like the shorter ads makes a big difference. The only thing that's still a bit weird is my introduction to the ads. When I recorded it, I thought it was going to be like kind of funny, but listening back on playback, I realized that it's not funny at all, and it's just kind of stupid and weird. Yeah, it didn't land at all. This is why comics test their material, and like this is basically what we're doing with the show, right? We're testing our material with the Romanian audience.
Romania is like our laugh factory. It's like our comedy zone. We go there. We go to a little underground podcast club. We try all our jokes on Romania. If it lands, we bring it to you, and if it doesn't, we bring it to you. So there's really no differentiation in our choice. We just know it's going to suck before we say it.
But the important thing to, I guess, recognize is like we're getting better bit by bit by bit, and we're recognizing it and making improvements. Like I hope that people recognize that with the podcast, right? I hope so like too. We recognize that the ads were way too long and annoying, and we're skipping them. So we made shorter ads, and it's like, well, the introduction of ads we actually thought was going to be funny, but then we realized it wasn't. So the next step is to change that. Yeah, and it's kind of like bit by bit, and I'm happy. For anybody listening here that they're going along this journey with us, except for that person who listened to 35 episodes and then said it was a waste of his time. I spent 35 hours on this, and I will never get that time back. It's like, bro, you could have figured that out in like 30 minutes.
Just can't figure it out if it's good or not. Let me listen to 33
I wanna go back
more.
to that comment,
Oh my God.
that 2-star review. I want to go back to that. There is no way that this person didn't, like, there is nothing that you can listen to for 35 hours and not enjoy.
Right.
It's not
Right.
like there isn't other information out there to get your attention. Like, I don't know how much free time this person has, but I'm fairly sure that there's enough media to fill it.
Right.
The
Right.
online trainer show, right?
There's something out there. Just cruise through YouTube. But we've got some big news here on the show, and it as usual, it centers around Catalina. You know, this is just like everything that big happens on this show starts with "So Catalina." Like, that's the intro to any big news on the show. And Catalina's got a different background. For those viewing, you probably recognize that there's something different in the background. And there's just a bit of an extra glow to Catalina generally, who's already always effervescent and glowing. But Keto, you made a shift, you know, since we last podcasted. What's going on there? What's going on with your living arrangement?
Ooh, the living arrangement is that we are now in the new house, and this glow that you see is pure freaking sweat from moving pounds and pounds of shit from one house to another. I don't know who you are. I don't care who you are. You own a lot of crap. You listen to me right now.
Yes.
If you ever decide to move, you're going to discover that you own way more stuff than you actually thought you did. So
You're speaking to the wrong person, my friend.
So true. I purge on a regular basis. Can we agree amongst the four of us that even though there's joy and excitement in sort of, you know, acquiring a new place to stay, like, can we all agree that collectively that moving just sucks? Like,
it sucks.
generally,
I'm like, you know what? I hope we love this house because we're staying here until the day we die. I am never doing this again. I am never moving again. No, it was total crap. No, it sucks.
So speaking from the experience of somebody who for 6 years moved a minimum of 5 times a year, I mean, to give you an idea, like,
oh my gosh.
So Allison and I for 6 years, myself for 7, and then she joined me the second year. So for 6 years together, we only owned backpacks. Like, legitimately, we only owned backpacks. When we'd get to a new Airbnb, one of the first things that we would do, was figure out like what our workout situation would be, which I talked about in an earlier episode, to set a routine. The second thing that we would do was we would go through the kitchen of the Airbnb and figure out which essentials we needed to buy. The amount of blenders and chef's knives that I bought, because we would always go and we would buy a new blender for the 2 months or buy a chef knife or whatever it is. And then we'd usually leave it in the Airbnb, or we might give it to somebody we met there or something like that. But it is a beautiful thing for many years, as we were like building ourselves up and our family up, to purge like a minimum of 4 or 5 times a year, and to literally, not metaphorically, to literally carry all of your belongings on your back. It forces you to really, I recommend it to everybody before they buy a house, because it forces you to so deeply analyze what matters to you and what doesn't. Mm-hmm. And now as we are able to go to our house, I mean, we know exactly what matters to us, what makes us happy, what doesn't make us happy, what appliances we need, what clothing we need. I mean, all of those little things, we're able to assess from a much more, I guess, objective, like outsider viewpoint.
Right.
Because we've never really had it. Like, when we moved into our house, it was the funniest thing ever. I mean, we walked into a house. We had our nanny with us who came with us from Mexico. She's American, but came with us to Mexico to help us for a couple of weeks while we moved back. Because we came off of a plane from Mexico into our new house, and the key was like in a lockbox outside the front door at like 9 o'clock at night. And then, of course, we ordered Thai food and ate it on the ground, because what else do you do when you move into a new house? But we walked in and we put our backpacks in the corner of the closet, and I hung up my 3 t-shirts, and I was like, I guess we need a fork.
one fork to share, to pass around the
One fork to
imaginary
rule them
table.
all.
But really, I mean, it's a pretty neat thing to be able to build up. So I echo Carolina's thoughts. I can't even imagine when two households come together.
Right.
Just how much
Two
crap
households
there is.
and 4 kids, 4 girls.
Holy crap.
So yeah,
Holy
imagine that's a lot. Yeah.
This will wake me in the middle of the night tonight.
Oh,
And-
Ren's
Oh, I've
frozen
frozen
face
again.
right now will wake
But
me
I
in the middle of the
froze.
night.
I froze on a good one though. I froze on a
That's a good
smile
one.
this time.
That's a
That's
good
not
one.
that's not a
smile, Ren.
bad picture.
Yeah.
Got
Great
the discipline.
smile.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So this prompts 2 questions. I know we got to get into our subject matter here. This prompts 2 questions. Number one, keto. I've never lived in a different country, but would Jonathan's nanny be called an American Mexican? You know how we say Mexican American here? Would they call her American Mexican if she's a citizen of Mexico? How does that work? Do you hyphenate down there?
Oh
Or just
my
American?
gosh. No, we don't. No, I don't think we do at all.
So she
Just
just never be a
American.
Mexican. She'd just be American.
Well, she
even
might
if
be
she became
Mexican. I
a-
think she's actually looking at getting her. I don't remember what it's
Mexicans.
called over there, but it's not like an immigrant card or landed immigrant or citizen.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a different name for it, but I can't remember what it is.
Cross the border card.
But it was funny. So we were living there when all of this, like, we're gonna build a wall type stuff was going down, and it was the funniest thing ever because we were living in Mexico when that was happening, and of course the Mexicans were just like, "This is the better side of the wall." But there was a hike that we did through the jungle, and on the other side of the hike, you kind of had to go through this like private land that wasn't actually private. Long story short, the president of Mexico had a mistress and bought her a house.
As he
And
should.
then somebody else bought the house from them and tried to privatize the land, and it was illegal to be private, but they like put a big fence up. So anyway, so you got to climb over the fence to get out of the hike.
Right.
And usually the fence is open, but we met these 2 girls taking a cab back to town after the hike one time because we were in the next
Sketchy
town
story,
over.
Jonathan.
Oh, I have
Very
lots
sketchy.
This is not I have a lot of very sketchy stories.
The more you're talking, I'm getting less and less comfortable as you explain.
We were laughing because we were in the car, and these girls were telling us about how they had to climb over the fence, and we just thought it would be the funniest Tumblr account ever, of just a whole bunch of Americans just hopping over fences in Mexico.
Climbing border walls.
Yeah,
I climbed the wall.
just a whole bunch of Americans climbing walls in Mexico, just streaming pictures of it, which thought would be really funny.
And my second question that's irrelevant to this podcast or our topic in any way, which is what we like to talk about, is Jonathan, you've had a lot of non-black and gray V-neck shirts here lately. Like you've had a stream of colorful shirts.
Expanding my
What's
horizon.
going on there? That's also making me uncomfortable. What's going on there?
Expanding my horizon, my friend.
All right. Okay.
Unbound
You're allowed.
Merino, which is the company that I get all my shirts from.
Oh, that's right.
Is just come out with a much bigger catalog, and so they send me stuff, and I don't know. I think it makes my eyes pop. Whatever.
It does, Jonathan. The beard's gone, but the eyes are popping because of the shirt colors.
That's
I
right.
was like, why does he look more tan, like sun-kissed?
Right.
I can't
Something's
figure it
different.
out. Oh,
You know,
it's the
thanks.
shirt.
You guys are too kind. Too kind.
A lot less Grizzly Adams and a lot more Pierce Brosnan. Like more James Bondish.
Okay.
So we're talking about sort of comparison today. Speaking of comparing between bearded and V-neck Goodman, the beardless Jonathan, multicolored crew neck wearing Goodman. There's a lot of think about that. It'll make sense when you listen to the podcast when it airs. You can go back and rewind it. I've crossed Jonathan's wires. He's having a short circuit, as automatons do sometimes.
I'm also trying to figure out why our art director sitting on the other side of the office from me is looking at Power Rangers right now.
I'd be more concerned with why he hasn't before.
Because I know that he's making ads. And,
okay.
And I
love
have a feeling that I'm going to be involved.
You're going to be one of those
whatever
Power
he's
Rangers.
doing with this Power Ranger picture.
Can you get him to
and
throw
that.
my head on one? Can Keto and Amber and I all be included on that Power Rangers ad that he's doing? He may have other plans for it, but if possible, superimpose our faces onto the Power Rangers. I think that would be a great.
Len and Carolina would like their heads superimposed on Power Rangers.
Don't forget Amber.
He's going to make. Did you hear that?
What did he say?
He said, say it a bit louder.
I'm going to make a podcast Power Ranger wallpaper.
All right, nice. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is the kind of thing that OTA students and online trainers wanted to know in the first 30 minutes of the show. So, Jonathan, comparison. Like, what's the official title here? Because you always articulate so much better, and I never know it.
Comparison is the thief of joy. I just came up with that. No,
we'll take that.
That's clearly not my quote, but it's a good quote.
That's good enough.
Comparison is something that we all fall prey to, and I think that there's two pieces to it. The first is just how hard it is to maintain one's focus and motivation, because there's always people these days that are thrust into your face that seem to be doing better than you, or have figured out something that you haven't figured out, or it just seems easier for them because we don't see their work. It was a Facebook post that I ended up publishing in one of my books because I loved it so much, by Greg Nuckols, who runs Stronger by Science. He's an awesome dude. And I'll paraphrase the post, but it basically said, odds are somebody who's doing well has worked way harder for way longer and struggled way more than you could ever imagine to get to where they are. And it's easy to say that. That's the type of thing that if you say it, a lot of people will hit the heart button on Instagram, and say, oh my God, I needed to hear this today, because we all fall prey to it. No matter how successful you are by objective standards, there's always going to be people that you're going to compare yourself to, even if they're doing worse. And the stupidest thing about this, a lot of the time when I compare myself to other people and I get knocked down by it, it's people who are doing things that I want no goddamn part of.
That is so true. Why do we do that?
It's 100% accurate. That's your statement of the podcast century. That's the best thing that you've said since this podcast has aired. We need to set that in stone. That's so remarkably observant.
Isn't that the silliest thing? It's like you're jealous of people because they have success because you feel like you deserve that success. But if you actually take a look at what they've done to achieve that success, or what they're doing now, you're like, yeah, I don't
want that.
That seems like it would be awful. And that's just not for me. Even like people I know, because I go far out of my way to become friends and spend a lot of time with people in other industries, because I think single-mindedness is a serious problem that we need to go far out of our way to beat. And so people in other industries, like logistics companies, right? Air quality companies, I'm like sitting here jealous of them, comparing myself to them. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to be ordering air purifiers from figuring out how to get them cheaper from Shenzhen, China, and distributing them in, like, I don't want, like, that's not what I want to do. So why am I jealous of this person? It's because I feel like I deserve the accolades that person has. So that's the first component of it. And I have no solution for it. I can only say that I fall prey to this a lot. And it is not uncommon for me to sit for prolonged periods of time staring at my phone, staring at my computer, feeling shittier and shittier and shittier about myself. Almost in a daze, like zombie-like, until I finally am able to work up this pull away from where I am, and then I just separate myself from it completely. And sometimes it'll be as simple as just like closing my eyes and taking a couple deep breaths.
Right.
Sometimes it will be going for a little bit of a walk. Sometimes it'll be like writing down in a notebook. Like I have written down over and over again, like, I don't want that. I don't want that. Like it's just so I don't have any sage advice here of how to get away from that. I think it's...
You know what? Hold on, because you're saying something super important here. Like just compare that to what our clients go through. What do our clients experience scrolling Instagram with the fitness models, feeling shittier and shittier about themselves, comparing themselves? And then it's like, wait, I don't actually want to live that life based on boiled chicken and broccoli.
Right.
I don't actually want that. The results look nice. I don't actually want the process or anything having to do with it. But yet they do it too. So as coaches, I feel like this is like our own parallel, right? Like this is our version of compare. Sometimes it does happen in terms of body, like image and how we look. But a lot of the times it happens. Yeah, but it also happens in our businesses, right? We compare to other coaches and we're no different from our clients. So what will you tell your client?
Even amongst bodybuilders, it's like, oh man, I wish my calf insertion wasn't so long, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
This podcast is made possible by viewers like you, except you're not viewers, you're listeners. Okay, well, I guess a word from our sponsors. If you're a fitness nutrition coach that's looking to master online coaching so that you can help more people, make more money, and have more freedom, then the Online Trainer Academy can help. OTA gives you the framework, knowledge, and support to have predictable success with your online coaching business. From marketing to business development to how to assess and motivate your clients online, it is constantly updated and refreshed to keep up with a dynamic market. Not only that, OTA is proven. In 7 years, we've helped over 30,000 coaches in 87 countries go online. Truth is, we know what works, so you can get right to the success part. And in case you're busy working a full-time job or you're a full-time parent, know that you can go at your own pace. There's no deadlines to complete OTA and you have lifetime access. That said, if you are ready to make a rapid change and finish the course in the next 8 to 12 weeks, you can expect to invest 3 to 5 hours each week on the program. And here's the best part. If you join today, you will make an extra $1,000 a month in 90 days, or I'll give you your money back. So if you're ready to build the fitness business you want and make the money you deserve, go to onlinetrainer.com/academy to enroll today. And I hope to see you in there. Are you still trying to pick your online training software? If so, let me make this easy for you. Go with PT Distinction. It's truly the best, and I'm not just saying that because they're our sponsor. We actually use PT Distinction for our own online fitness business, Online Trainer Coaching, and we're really happy with it. From onboarding to programming to client communication, PT Distinction has everything you need to run your online fitness business smoothly, and it's super simple to use. Now, normally they offer a free 30-day trial, but as a listener of the Online Trainer Show, you get a free 60-day trial, so you can make sure you love them before spending a dime. If you want to deliver first-class service to your clients while reclaiming your time, then visit onlinetrainer.com/PTD to sign up for your free 60-day trial today.
I wish the muscle bellies in my abdominals were taller and the tendons connecting in between the muscles was deeper, so I'd look more cut. But this is as cut as I can get. Like there's no end to it though. Like what is this? What is it? Because here's what I think. Here's what I think. Thank you for asking what I think, Jonathan. You're such a gentleman.
Tell people what you think.
I got to talk to people for a minute because the people out there, they want to hear from you, baby. But what I'm saying is, if I'm saying anything at all, is that for the person who's achieving said thing, there is no end to the achievement, right? For the person outside perceiving said thing, it looks like an end result. I want to get to where they are. And then them days are thinking, I've got so much further to go. I can't wait till I'm there. Like nobody ever arrives. The only arrival can be perceived from the outside of the person. So it looks like somebody got to somewhere. Right. But in that person's mind, they're far away from where they're trying to get to. Like nobody ever gets there is what I'm trying to explain.
There, which is why one of the best pieces of advice that I ever read was many years ago when I was back when I was personal training and I was looking for a way to make other income because I was working too hard for too little money. And I didn't know what my future was going to be. And so I was studying residential real estate investing at the time.
Oh, yes, I recall this story.
Yes. And so I read a book by somebody named Don Campbell, who's a Canadian residential real estate investing guy who's written books. He's like the John Goodman of Canadian real estate investing.
Oh, this is a great man to listen to then, obviously.
And
an expert in this field.
The advice, I mean, you know, it's funny because now we're doing more and more investment into real estate. But at the time, I mean, I didn't end up doing anything with it. But the single piece of advice that I got from that book that always stayed with me, which is why you, by the way, you should look at other disciplines, not necessarily to learn and do the thing with the other disciplines, but these types of tiny pieces of wisdom can come from anywhere and often come from unexpected places and can serve you in ways that they weren't originally intended. That's why in my books, if you look at them, like Wealthy Fit Pro's Guide to Online Training is not just about online training, it's about happiness, right? It's about wealth. It's about finding what your purpose is. If it was just about what software to use or how to train somebody online, that'd be doing you a disservice. And so anyway, so the advice in this book is celebrate the process and celebrate positive steps in the process, irregardless of the outcome. And yes, Amber, I'm using the word irregardless. It's actually a word now. According to the dictionary in 2020, irregardless is now a word. I know you're going to call me out on that.
Amber gave him the silent whatever.
Yo, you gave me that face. You looked down the second I said irregardless.
That was so powerful and enjoyable for me.
Yes. So celebrate positive steps in the process, irregardless of the outcome, even if something doesn't go your way. And so the advice in this book was like, if you go to, if you put in an application for a mortgage, even if you don't get it, celebrate. If you put in a bid for a house, even if you don't get it, celebrate. If you make your first post on social media and you've been scared all hell of making that post because you feel like other people are going to judge you and your friends and family are going to look at you and think that you're overly promotional or whatever your fears are, the fact that you've now overcame those, it doesn't matter what happens, even if there's no interaction on that post. I mean, really, like, okay, so there's 5 comments on that post. It's not going to make that much of a difference. What matters is that you've taken that very positive action towards your outcome. And that actually, to me, deserves to be celebrated just as much. Like, you should take a loved one out for dinner. Order in, because you're not allowed to go anywhere ever.
COVID, yeah.
But yeah. But like, you should, whatever you, so for a while, my celebration with Allison was we'd share like a small cigar, and then we both realized that neither of us like cigars. So, so we stopped that.
But did you die?
No, but I mean, anyway, I'm not going to make myself seem softer than I am. I didn't die, but it wasn't a pleasant experience. I mean, I didn't just have one cigar. I've had them many times, but I've never really enjoyed them. But have something that you celebrate with, like watch a movie, go out for dinner, like take that time to separate yourself and appreciate that positive step that you just took in your life or in that business. And that alone will help you really appreciate and keep going. I think that that's really important when we talk about overcoming the first major problem with comparison is you're on your own journey. Everybody's on their own journey. Everybody's dealing with crap. I mean, you heard me. I know a lot of people listening to this podcast think it's like, oh, that guy, like maybe he's had it figured out. It's like, I'm just in a different place along my journey than if you think that, right, then I'm at a different place along my journey than you are.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I'm still not on my own journey. And, you know, what I shared here today of like how I compare myself to, like, we all do it. I should say we all do it. I do it.
Right.
It sounds like my co-hosts do it. So that's the first type of comparison. The second type of comparison is trying to copy people's business models.
Oh my gosh.
Which is more technical.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, yes. You know, it's interesting that you say that, Jonathan, because just moments before this podcast, I had someone that I know who has been a student in OTA send me a message via the Facebook Messenger. Hey man, I'm taking a look at your prices on your website. Is it okay if I just list the exact same thing? Sure, bro. Cool. Like, do what you gotta do. Like, I didn't have time to respond.
First off, like, why would I ever say no?
Right. Why would I say no?
No, actually, I've copyrighted 149 for, for 2 weeks.
Sure, you can't use the dollar signs though. Those are copyrighted. You know, or the decimal. So you have to write it out longhand in words.
Yes.
But this happens so much, right? And this is the, as impossible it is to compare yourself to anyone in individual terms, it's even less possible to copy business practices because you don't know, like, you really don't know the origin, like the why matters, right? Like you've got to know why you're doing the thing. You can't just do it. You've got no foundation for the methodology.
And like, you don't know how well they're doing.
Right. I could suck.
Exactly.
Like that person, the amount of people who do any kind of accurate testing of price, of business structure, of product,
right,
is so small that unless you know for a fact that company is using very sophisticated testing and marketing principles, which, I mean, I can tell you right now, there are a handful that do, and that number is very, very small. Unless you know that, it's hardly even worth looking at them. I mean, your customers are certainly not looking at them and comparing them to them.
Right.
Because your customers have never heard of them because stuff's so fractured all over the place that, like, stuff you see every single day that you think is the most important thing ever. You know what blows me away, what astonishes me? The amount of different people who have like hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram and YouTube subscribers. I mean, like, every single day I come across more of them. I'm like, how many of you are there? Like, it is... how is there I mean, it just shows you that there's endless opportunity. I mean, there are so many that, like, and that's not to say that you don't have a chance if you don't. That's to say that you have an incredible chance even if you don't, and you don't ever need that. Because that, by definition, shows that, like, if there are thousands and thousands of people, literally, that have 100,000 plus followers, all professing to be online trainers who work with your type of client, there's clearly, like, an almost unlimited market opportunity there.
100%.
And you haven't heard of most of them, is the craziest thing. They operate in networks that are so dissociated from yours that you don't even know their name. Mm-hmm. And yet, you know, you're comparing yourselves to the ones that you see all the time because you see them all the time. But, like, walk down the street. I always laugh, like, pick whoever you think is the most, like, famous fitness educator, right? Anybody. And walk into 10 different commercial gyms and ask every single trainer whether they've ever heard of him or her.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
And you might get 5% that are like, yeah, I think I heard that name somewhere. I mean, it's so fractured, right? Which leads to a lot of opportunity. And so you have no idea how well they're doing, which is the first, I think, really important point. You have no idea what they put into their price model, even if they've tested it.
Right.
You don't know what they got going on because most of the work you never see.
Right.
You don't see me. You see my personal Instagram, and you're like, yo, this guy doesn't post on Instagram. And I don't, because I think it's kind of stupid. But what I don't think is stupid is having conversations with people.
I feel attacked.
You don't see the dozens of conversations that I have with people in my Instagram Messenger every single day. Like, you don't see how that contributes to our model, right? And that's one small example. I'm just going to keep talking over you, Carolina. Is that what mansplaining is? Is that mansplaining?
It's totally. It's like, but I and then you never get a word in.
What's gaslighting? I actually don't know what gaslighting is. What does gaslighting mean?
Gaslighting is when somebody does something crappy to you and then plays it down like you're crazy, or like you made it like it never happened. It's like, what? I treated you that way. I think you were pretty sensitive because I never would have spoken to you that way.
I never even said anything like that in my life.
It's like they make you doubt your sanity and your experience.
Yeah, that's narcissism 101.
And is it usually like men gaslighting women? Is that what the term is?
That happens a lot more often.
More often.
More often. Like,
but it can definitely happen the other way around for sure.
Yeah, it's just one of the. It's a type of abuse within relationships.
Okay. So thank you for explaining that.
You were about to say something, and I don't know what you were going to say.
Now.
But I wanted to ask you a question. And this we're wrapping up here for sure. But I wanted to go back, and a lot of times we don't go back in our conversations. We like to look forward, but I like to go back to the sort of personal comparison. And Amber, if you want to chime in here too, because there is a particular kind of comparison for women in the industry. In terms of comparison to other women in the industry that has nothing to do with knowledge or insight or success or how your sales go. And it's all about your individual physicality. And you are both two fit ladies. There's no question about that. But how do you guys circumvent that? Because I coach a lot of people, OTA and otherwise, just colleagues that I have, and they come to me with concerns about this, the imposter syndrome and comparison. Like, how do you negotiate that? How have you navigated that over the course of your career?
So for me, particularly, imposter syndrome doesn't necessarily kick in the way that I look, because I don't care that much. Like I think a good kind of like solid foundation for me has always been owning the way that I look. Right. So if that means posting the picture where you can totally see that there's cellulite, because I have freaking cellulitis, 90% of women, and that's fine. So I feel like I've never sold an image that I'm not. Like, you see what there is, and then that's all there is to it. And if it compares to others or not, like it's a non-issue for me. I do compare myself. One of my favorite things
is like, Carolina, that I always love about you is just how like confident and just like give no shits you are. You're like, guys, great news. It's gratuitous bikini season. Yay!
Yes, I am. And like, it's my favorite season. Lots of bikini shots. Woo! Because like, I like it, right? So why not? But I do compare myself on the business and knowledge side. Like, that's that's where I always feel like I have to strive, be better and all this. So that's where my gremlin shows up. And I don't know that I have a solution other than it's like, hey, I'm paying all my bills. My kids are well taken care of. Everything in life is going great. I can afford to not beat myself up right now at this moment. I can afford to just enjoy the fact that I'm okay, right? There's always, I can strive for more. I can try for more. I'm okay. It's all right.
Right. And you've got teal and pineapples in the background. If there's no other indication of success, a teal wall with pineapples in gold is that? I think that's just a great indication.
It's peacock.
Peacock. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Peacock pineapples. They both start with P. Amber, I want to go over to you, Amber, because I saw your post a while back. You had some photos done, and you intentionally did not try to pose in the photos. You said you want to display a certain amount of reality in those pictures for your branding and brand awareness. Speak to the people a little bit about that really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I actually am the opposite probably of Carolina here, where I feel confident in knowledge and that kind of stuff, but struggle with the rest. And so I very purposely put myself out there. Like, I next to never wear makeup, and I have to, the more honest I am about it, the easier it is for me to deal with. And for me, the solution has been to obviously be very authentic and share just it is what it is. But also I'm very careful about my environment, and I curate my environment to support a happier mental health environment. So I unfollow anybody that makes me feel not great, and business wise or looks wise or whatever. But yeah, I mean, no makeup, no extra poses, no new clothes, no nothing. especially for my brand, which, you know, is all about kind of being a hot mess. It falls in line with that. So it just is what it is.
Yeah, I love it. Just raw, unadulterated deltoids. That's all she needs to succeed.
That's it.
We love it. Jonathan, I know you got to run here soon, but I think we got some good takeaways here. Number one, you know, in Jonathan's case, you know, the understanding that even at his level of success, however you perceive it, these thoughts run through all of our minds, really. You know, deal with it, you know, think through it, go back to action. You know, Carol gave us a great example, you know, authenticity, sort of the gateway to sort of remove the concern for comparison. The more authentically you are yourself, typically that's a good driver towards not feeling so comparative to everybody else. And then Amber had a great suggestion, you know, curate your environment, because a lot of what we follow online that we mistakenly convince ourselves is for the purposes of learning and being inspired. A lot of times it's just, you're on your own hate train, right? Like you're the chief operating engineer for the hate train, and you're just driving that thing through comparison town.
All that I can think about is that Chappelle skit.
You're right. Hate. So be mindful of those things. Jonathan, anything you'd like to add here?
I want to send this off. So do the show notes first. I want to send this off with something special with you. And
whatever you like, Jonathan, as long as the cameras are off. So show notes, you can go to onlinetrainer.com/podcast, leave us a review, and enjoy all the show notes, all the zany, kooky things that Amber will put in the show notes based on what we've talked about on the show today. You can find them there.
So then, even though guys like you and me have shorter muscle insertions, naturally thicker legs, we don't have to worry about our calves. We still have a theme song. It's by the Magnificent Skilo. And it goes, I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl. If I did, I would call her.
Wish I had a rabbit in the hat in the back with a 6'1" Impala.
So I had a girl. If I did,
I'd call her. I mean, but up until this point, no.
What's the Leoshi? I wish I had a girl. If I did, her name was Leoshi, I would call her. How's that line go?
Yeah, I wish I had a girl like Miyoshi. Because even though she don't know me, I wish she was mine because she's kind of fine. I think that's how the line went. I may have created that. I'm such a good rapper. You guys have been listening to the awkward, informative, but also disjointed online trainer show. Thanks so much for tuning in to episode whatever this is.
We really didn't care anymore in the episode, so I don't actually know.
We didn't care after 10. Like, we're just glad we made it. Once Tim and PT.
Amber decided that we didn't need, because it was already written in the thing that they listen to on whenever you listen to podcasts. Amber's like, you don't need to repeat it. They read the thing. And I'm like, well, what if they can't read? That's not being very considerate. And Amber was like, look, don't repeat it. You're wasting people's time. And I was like, no, we're not wasting people's time. Wasting people's time is rude. We don't want to waste people's time at the beginning or the end of podcasts with long monologues that go nowhere, around and around and around and around.
Talking incessantly about nothing.
Bye.
See you, kiddo. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Amber, that's just a stylish chambray denim shirt you've got on, Amber. She's so authentic, you know. She's an
authentic Mexican wearing a chambray shirt.
Yes.
She sounds more Mexican than me now.
Good talk, guys. Good talk.
Good talk.
Bye.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show. We shouldn't have a podcast.